What's good, everybody? It's your man's Ken Jackson. It's the Ken Jackson Experience. Uh, Guess what? Had to do this again because I didn't realize the audio from some of the background video was going crazy, and so got to redo it again. But anyway, the drone invasion. That's what we're talking about tonight.
See, the game is lame and absurd, but you spit. You need to sit back and observe. Absurd if I pimp. So oh yes he is. I mean that boy does the shit. He's a mess he is. Fresh to death. Ain't nobody fresh as he is. They can't compare or get next to him because he's so fly. I mean the boy's so clean. From his white tee home down to those jeans. You see the ice in the pinky.
All right, here we go again. I'm sorry about that fuck up. But you know, sometimes we make mistakes. We ain't always on point, but we learn from our mistakes and we keep on moving forward. So anyway, as I was saying before, I realized my video was screwed up. Don't hold it against me, y'all. We are coming up on the new year in just a week or two, and wow, 2025. I honestly didn't think I'd make it this far. When I was a teenager, 2025 wasn't even on the radar. It's not even something that I thought about, that far ahead. Now here I am, almost 60 years old, and I've been out of high school for 41 years. That's crazy to me. 41 years ago, I graduated high school. And guess what? We didn't have cell phones then. I think cell phones came about a couple of months after I got out of school, my very first cell phone I got in, I believe it was 1985. I was living in Hawaii, and no, I lied. It wasn't until 1988. That's when I was living in Hawaii. 87, 88. It was one of those big bricks. I got it from Radio Shack, and it was like some ridiculous amount per minute, to talk. So obviously you didn't give the number out, and you only made calls when it was absolutely necessary, or when you was trying to floss in front of people. You would make a couple of calls just so you could try to impress a motherfucker. I got a cell phone. Now, fast forward to the 2000s, everybody and their mama got a phone in their hand. Sometimes two. Kids got phones. What do the kids need phones for? Think about it. We grew up in a time when, there wasn't any high technology. I remember my first video game was an Atari 1040. Atari 1040 ST, and we had Space Invaders and Pong, simple one-dimensional ass games that really weren't fun. They were fun at the time, but if you played them things now, you'd be like, I can't believe I was hooked on this shit. I look at video games now, I can't play none of these games these kids are fucking with now. And some of these games look too goddamn realistic. But anyway, what I'm getting at is we live in a high-tech world now. A high-tech world that was let's see, 25, 30 years ago was pretty much non-existent. You know what I mean? I remember when the first personal computers came online, and Apple made the first uh, graphic user interface and a mouse, and we thought, wow, this shit's amazing, and I was in an aviation career path when I was in the Navy, and so spent a lot of years around high tech. They were high tech at the time, high tech aircraft, fighter aircraft, all types of rotary winged aircraft, big wing aircraft, small wing, jets, props, all that. You know what I'm saying? And spent a lot of time when I was on board ship, because I was on an aircraft carrier, USS Midway, and I worked in the air departments, primary flight control, was an elevator operator, on board ship, those big elevators that move the planes from flight deck to hangar deck. I ran those, and worked in the aircraft intermediate maintenance department, AIMD. So I had a lot of experience around aircraft. Left the ship, went to an aggressor squadron based in Hawaii, Fleet Composite Squadron 1. Our mission there was to provide training, for the carrier battle groups that were headed out, to Westpac and on to Indian Ocean deployments, to the, Far East and Middle East. So, needless to say, I've seen a lot of aircraft in my time. And now we have these drones all over the place. And of late, a lot of sightings have been over New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, and now expanding out to other states. And I've watched a lot of these videos over the past week or two, and let me tell you what I see. I see mostly manned aircraft, small planes, police helicopters, private helicopters, a few experimental vehicles. There was one in particular that's in this video that's playing on your screen now that is definitely an experimental electric flying car. There it is right there. And people have bought into the conspiracy theories hook, line, and sinker. Listen, there's no story here. We're not being invaded. Drones aren't taking over the world. They're not spraying chemicals. They're not monitoring our communications. Listen, you got one of these, right? See that? All your communications are already monitored. Every time you pick up the fucking phone to receive a call or make a call, it's being recorded somewhere. All right? Every time your ass sends an email or a text message, it's being recorded and stored somewhere. Every time you go shopping and you sign up for a store's points program or a savings program or whatever the fuck program they got going on, it's being recorded and stored somewhere, and it's for sale. Your data's out there. The world knows everything there is to know about you already. That shit was a wrap 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when this internet thing, really took off and data became valuable. Your data's been out there for many, many years, and you can't pull it back. The government's not watching you. They're not tracking your every move. They don't have to, because you give away your position freely every day, walking around with your cell phone, with your Bluetooth earbuds and anything that you use that's connected to the web. So they don't need to track you. They don't need to send drones up in the sky to watch anybody. There are a million cameras all up and down the roadways and highways, at the stoplights, down streets, in public parks, public buildings, private buildings. So what on earth makes you think that the government would have to launch a bunch of drones and monitor, your activities in the middle of the night? It's not happening, y'all. They're not spraying chemicals into the atmosphere to kill us. That would be extremely counterproductive in a capitalist society. That's like a pimp killing off all his hoes. Why would he do that? They're the ones making the money for him. So he's damn sure not going to kill off his stable. The elites, they're not trying to kill us all off. We're the reason they're elites. We make them elites because we buy their products. We keep their businesses fully sustained by consuming the products that they put out to the public. Like your cell phones and your computers and the designer clothes that you're wearing, the shoes, the perfumes, the expensive foods, not even expensive foods. Anything you buy is keeping the elites elite. Even when you shop at small businesses, small local businesses, because guess what? They get their inventory from the big businesses. So it's unavoidable. The rich are going to be rich. They're going to continue to get rich as long as we are consumers and as long as we are using the products that they manufacture and put out to the public. It's unavoidable. That's capitalism. And we live in a capitalist society. We live in a capitalist world. No matter what ism, other ism, whether it's fascism or socialism or whatever ism, it's still a capitalist society. They're all looking to make more money, to gain more power and influence, and that's what it's all about. And we're all, in some way or another, chasing the bag. Now, I know you've heard me before say, look, man, stop chasing the bag because, one, you're never going to catch it. Not even Elon Musk, whose net worth recently went over $400 billion. When's enough enough? And don't get me wrong, I'm not mad at these people for becoming wealthy. What I am mad about is that their wealth allows them to influence the so-called political leaders who are supposed to be looking out for the best interests of the people that they represent. But they don't represent us. They're only representing themselves. And everybody has an agenda, from the biggest corporate leader to the lowest citizen, on the street. Everybody has a personal agenda. And we just go about different ways of achieving our goals. I personally choose not to cheat anybody and not to rob anybody. I could have been a major figure in the music industry when I worked in the music biz. When I was a manager and producer, I could have cheated and robbed and stole my way to the top. and I could have ruined a lot of families along the way, but I chose to be honest. I chose to be, a solid dude, so that one, I could sleep at night and not have to worry about somebody coming after me, and not having people slander me. You know what I'm saying? But secondly, because of just my own personal integrity. You know what I mean? But in any case, this drone thing is getting out of hand. We got mayors and governors out here demanding an explanation from the federal government. An explanation of what? There are aircraft flying in the sky. Yes, absolutely, 100%. No, they're not foreign invaders. And they're definitely not all drones. These are manned aircraft. You notice all of these sightings take place around airports, major airports, military bases. Aircraft fly. But it was one idiot that went out with his fucking raggedy ass phone camera one night, spotted some lights in the sky and said, "Oh my God, there's a drone flying over my house." And it might have been a drone. Guess what? Everybody and their mama got a fucking drone now. I can't tell you how many times I go out and about during the day and I see people flying drones in the park. I see people flying drones in their yards. But I live just a half mile from an airport. There's always planes flying in and out. Hear them all the time. I go outside, I watch the planes fly over. Some nights the lights look funny. Some nights I look up and I say, damn, what the fuck is that? Oh, it's an airplane. We got two companies at this local airport that flies experimental aircraft. They look weird as fuck. But I'm like, wow, those are some cool looking airplanes. I wouldn't fly in them because they're experimental, so the technology's not proven. But watching these videos that I've seen all week about the drone invasion, I see a lot of fixed wing aircraft, small planes. I see police helicopters. I have seen some drones, and like I said before, I've seen a couple of experimental aircraft that have been advertised abundantly over the past couple of years. And I would imagine that some of them are about to come to market, so they're definitely getting in those final flight tests. And at night is the best time to do it because usually at night air traffic is less. And they have to test them at night because once these things hit the market, they're going to be out there. And only wealthy people are going to be buying these things. There's one in particular they keep showing, and it looks real strange because it's a tilt rotor aircraft. It has 8 rotors. It has a wing in the front and the wing at the rear. One at the nose, one at the tail. They rotate up and down. This aircraft can land vertically, or it can, and it's designed for 2 people. So yeah, it looks like a small car or an SUV, but it's nothing nefarious about it. It's an electric aircraft that will be coming to market soon once the FAA approves it. And you'll probably see a lot more of them in the coming years as more and more wealthier people start buying these things for their short commutes into the city. That's another thing. All of these drones are being spotted around, in major metropolitan areas. We're headed for the Jetson society, y'all. It's going to be all types of shit flying through the skies here in the next few years. Get used to it. But there ain't nobody up there. Big Brother's not up there in the sky watching you. They don't need to. They They locked that in years ago when everybody started getting smartphones and shit. So knock off the conspiracy theories, y'all. It's so much bullshit going on with this drone invasion thing, and I'm personally I'm sick of hearing about it. But that's that on the drones. But hey, who am I? People are still gonna think what they think because America is the most gullible country on the face of the earth. You can, and what's sad is that you can tell Americans that the sky is green and that science has been lying to us for centuries. Of course, when you look up and you see blue, you got people that will argue. No, it's not really blue. It's just an optical illusion. You're not really seeing a blue sky. It's really green. Or I heard an idiot say, how come the sky's not dark all the time if we're looking up into outer space? Well, guess what? Because the sunlight reacts with the atmosphere. And the sun is very bright. Even though we're 93 million miles away from the sun and it takes 8.5 minutes for the sunlight to reach Earth, think about that. When you look up in the sky and you see the sun, you're looking at the sun as it appeared 8.5 minutes ago. Do you know the sun could actually disappear, burn out, flame out, and we won't know about it until 8.5 minutes later? Ain't that some shit? Think about that. Think about how far away that is. At the speed of light, 8.5 minutes away. That is far as fuck. And then to imagine how huge the sun is. But you got these other flat Earth idiots. I watched some flat earther videos the other day. Oh my God, I cannot believe there are people who still believe the Earth is flat. I had to ask this one dude. I said, "Oh, what the fuck is on the bottom? If we're living on a flat surface, what the hell is on the other side? What's on the bottom?" Can we dig deep enough until we poke through to the other side? You know what I'm saying? Can we? There was some other dumb shit I heard where the sky is only like 73 miles high. Okay, and then what's next? What's after that? Once you go beyond 73 miles, then what? Oh, well, you can't go past 73 miles. That's as high as anything can go. Really? What goes that high? Because you don't believe rockets are real. I had an idiot tell me that they don't really launch rockets from Cape Canaveral. I watch motherfucking rockets damn near every day. I'm here in Fort Pierce, Florida. Cape Canaveral is like 90 miles away from us. And on a clear day where there's no clouds, I can see every fucking rocket that goes up. I watch these rockets on a regular basis. Elon Musk's been launching rockets like crazy the past few weeks. He's putting up at least 2, 3, sometimes 4 a week with these Starlink satellites and sending shit to the International Space Station. I've seen the space station too. I can track it because I go on NASA's website and it shows when it's going to be over our area. And guess what? You can go outside with a telescope and you can see the International Space Station when it passes by in orbit. That's some amazing shit. There are really people up there. You know, I've seen them launch those rockets up close. I've been to Cape Canaveral for a few launches and seen them with my own fucking eyes. Leave the launch pad, fly up in the outer space. And with SpaceX rockets, them motherfuckers come back down and land at the spot they launched from. That shit is amazing as hell to me. Now that's where I have a question now, you know, because they talk about how hard it is to land shit on the moon. I'm like, wait a minute, Elon Musk is launching rockets and landing them back here on Earth. Why is it so hard to land on the moon? There's no atmosphere on the moon. You know, so I don't understand the physics because I'm not a physicist. I'm not a rocket scientist. I'm not a science guru. But in my primitive thinking, I would think that it would be easier to land on the moon than it would be to land a rocket back here on Earth, considering gravity is a lot less as compared to here. You know, I do understand the logistics. The moon is kind of far away. You know what I mean? I think it's like a 2-week trip just to get to the moon. So imagine how big the moon must be when you look at it up in the sky. Sometimes it looks like it's very close, but I do understand those optics, you know, being a photographer and videographer. You know, I understand how the atmosphere bends light, you know, and it can make things look a certain way, you know, depending on, you know, what time of day you're looking at it. You know what I'm saying? I understand that. But here's the thing. We live in a society now that is so susceptible to bullshit that it ain't even funny anymore. It's actually scary that the American public will grab on to the most ridiculous bullshit in a heartbeat without a second thought. But if you try to share something that's good for the people, you know, something that can help them improve their lives or help, you know, people, you know, get through tough times, they don't want to listen. They don't want to log on and listen and watch anything like that. But as soon as somebody throws out the most ridiculous conspiracy theory you can think of, the whole fucking country is watching it and locked in. Faithfully locked in and believing it. I don't understand that. I never could understand human psyche. People are so easily manipulated into believing ridiculous ass bullshit. Now, what I see coming is we're actually building our replacements now. This AI is getting out of control. AI is crazy. And I literally said this over 20-something years ago, excuse me, that computers would be the death of humans. Because all it's going to take is for the first computer to become self-aware, and it's a wrap for us. We can't outthink a computer. Tesla's building these robots. Did you see you saw the movie I, Robot? Listen, not a conspiracy theory. This is reality. Robots are being built already. Robots have replaced a lot of human workers in major industries across the country. The time I spent in the trucking industry, I watched warehouses. I've seen warehouses that are completely automated. The trucks are loaded and unloaded by robots. There's a warehouse right here in Jupiter, Florida, Nestle Water Warehouse down in Jupiter. Robots load your trucks. I remember the guard telling me there's probably about 5 or 6 people that actually work in the warehouse. You know what their job is? To make sure the robots are functioning properly. Everything that comes in gets offloaded by robots, and everything going out gets loaded by robots. The biggest thing when you're picking up a load there, before you pull off from the dock door, you better make damn well sure one of those robots is not stuck inside your trailer. Because it's happened. Trucks have pulled away from the dock and got to the front gate and the robot was still inside the fucking trailer. It's crazy. And they're getting smarter though. There's a couple of places out west where the yard jockeys, these are the trucks that move the trailers from parking stalls to the dock doors, and then from the dock doors to a pickup area. You know, so when drivers come in to grab their loads, you know, they're already, you know, stationed. You know, they just go to a numbered area. You'll find your trailer, hook up, and haul ass. But all of the trucks operating on the property are autonomous, computer driven. First time I saw that, I was like, hold up, there ain't nobody driving this fucking truck. This truck hooked up to the trailer, lifted it up, hauled ass, and took it to the warehouse, backed the motherfucker into a door. I was like, holy shit. See it hook up to a trailer at the door, at the dock door, pull it out, bring it out to the yard, drop it in a parking spot. All fully automated. That shit was crazy to me. People are being replaced by robots all around the world in a lot of industries. And I'm telling you, this is no conspiracy. It's not a crazy thought. This is real. Computers have, was it Google? Just a couple of days ago, Google announced. They just announced their new quantum computer processing chip called Willow. This chip solved a math problem in 5 minutes that they basically said couldn't have been solved in like the entire lifetime of our solar system. You know what I'm saying? But this new chip worked it out. And it's scary to think, here's a computer chip that quite possibly might be the first one to become self-aware. And when it becomes self-aware and then understands that it is superior to humans, we better hope to God that this motherfucker ain't connected, you know, to the network to where it can start accessing, you know, different systems all around the world and literally take over. That is not a far-fetched thought. That's something that can actually happen and probably will happen. It may not happen in the rest of my lifetime, but I'm pretty sure that by the time my grandkids are adults, we're going to have self-aware computers and we're going to have robots, you know, in a lot of homes, you know, acting like human people. And mark my word, people, they're stronger than us and they're smarter than us. People used to always say computers only as smart as, you know, the people that programmed it. Well, it's some pretty smart-ass people programming these computers, but when they created AI, artificial intelligence, which means this is an artificial brain that has the ability to learn. And it has that ability to learn autonomously without human input. That's why they keep telling you, when you put in your prompts to use these chatbots and like chat GPT 4 and 4.5, and using all of these different AI. They want you to put in these prompts because the AI is learning. It's learning from the inputs of everybody on the network so that it can start to put together answers and start to build algorithms, so that it can operate more efficiently, so it can operate faster, so that it can supposedly help us in a more meaningful way. It has to learn, just like a baby. We teach our babies, and we teach them all that we can so that by the time they grow up into adults, they can live on their own and fend for themselves. What the fuck you think a computer is going to do? A computer is the same as an infant baby, but once it gathers enough information in its brain, then it's like, oh, okay, I know how to do that. I know how to do this. And computers are going to become self-aware. People, mark my word. And I am really afraid for that. That's something that keeps me awake at night sometimes when I think about it. I remember when I first got into the record business, okay? When I first got into the music business, we were recording on tape. Everything was recorded on tape. Computer-based recording didn't exist yet when I first started. I opened my very first studio when I came here to Florida. That was in 1993. And I started experimenting then with computer-based recording. My very first software package was called Cakewalk. And Cakewalk wasn't a digital audio workstation. It was a MIDI editor back then, meaning it would use MIDI commands to trigger different instruments within the studio. And MIDI grew. It became a control protocol for a lot of different things. But at that time, I bought a sound card to add into my computer that I was using so that I could process, audio. And it was raggedy. It was a little 16-bit sound card. Really didn't have any. It didn't have any built-in memory. There was none of that. Back then, a big hard drive back then was 512 kilobytes, or megabytes. 512 megabytes. Tiny, tiny, tiny. You could get like about a half a minute of music or some shit like that. But I eventually ended up getting a bigger hard drive. And then they weren't SSDs back then. They were literally spinning drives, But I started experimenting because Cakewalk eventually upgraded their software to where you could record audio samples. And it was so primitive. It was so fucking primitive. When I think about it now, I'm like, I can't believe, we were doing that. But I started recording samples, and building sample files in Cakewalk. But I had it in me. I said, what if I plug in a microphone? Because we captured a lot of samples with the microphone. But I said, what if I tried to record some vocals? And we used to have people say simple shit. But I eventually built my computer up to where I had enough memory where I could record like about 45 minutes to an hour's worth of audio. But only on 8 tracks. is limited to 8 tracks. So I started recording. We would make the entire instrumental in MIDI, you know, and then we would dump that, and we dumped that file into the computer. It would take up literally the first 2 tracks, just the instrumental, because it recorded it in stereo. So back then we didn't have, the ability to take a mono file and pan it out, to both sides. You actually had to record a track for the right and a track for the left. And then that left 6 tracks for vocals. And that's how we did it. And I started recording in Cakewalk, and I thought that was the most amazing fucking thing in the world. And then digital recorders started, coming out. They were expensive as shit. First digital recorder I had was a Roland, I think it was a VS8, if I'm not mistaken. 8-track digital recorder. And then eventually the 16-track version came out, and it just kept growing from there. Eventually moved into another software package called Session Tools. And we did all the MIDI editing in Session Tools. The Session Tools became Pro Tools, the first real digital audio workstation. And I got Pro Tools, and we were going crazy. We're recording into computer now. It's like, yo, this shit's awesome. But then I realized, I said, this is gonna kill the music business. This is gonna kill the record businesses. And I definitely saw the demise of recording studios. I said, because when more and more people start realizing, hey, I can record my own stuff in my computer, what do I need to go to a studio for? And it was some years before it happened, but now a lot of the big studios are gone. There's a few of them still around, but they're not the same, and they have all of this outboard equipment, and it all looks flashy and it looks impressive when you walk into a big studio. And don't get me wrong, there's still a need for these big studios, if you want to record, a lot of live instrumentation, big, orchestras and bands and such, However, there are a lot of hit records that are out now that were recorded in hotel rooms, that were recorded in the fronts and back seats of cars. I remember a few weeks before I shut down the last studio that I owned, this kid walked in, wanted me to do some mixing and mastering on some stuff that he produced and recorded. And I said, all right, well, let me check it out. He pulls out his iPhone and he starts playing his songs, and I plugged this phone then in, because then iPhones had an audio jack in them, so I plugged it into my system so I could play the music through the big speakers, and the shit sounded great. I was like, damn. I said, where'd you record this at? He said, oh, I recorded it at home. I said, well, what are you bringing it to me for? Because this shit sounded good. It sounded fucking phenomenal at the time, And then this kid told me he recorded it in his iPhone. He produced the tracks in his phone, all through an app. A couple of different apps, but eventually he did everything he needed to do in the apps and put it all together in GarageBand on his iPhone. And that's when I knew we were about to be out of business for real, because I was like, yeah, I couldn't take his money. I wanted to, but me being the guy that I am, I was like, look, bro, put that shit out. I don't know how. Or what your plans are. I said, just put it out there, though. And back then we had, there was SoundCloud, was just starting. There was a couple of other, you know, services where you could distribute your music online. They weren't as near as robust as they are now, like DistroKid and TuneCore and shit like that, CD Baby. But he started putting his music out, and he became pretty big on the indie circuit, you know, and made him a great living, you know. Now he's an old man like me now, you know, living off his royalties. The industry changed because of technology, and you know, there's people out here bugging out about these drones and all this shit. They're worried about the wrong thing. You know what I mean? These drones ain't watching nobody. The technology ain't giving a fuck about nobody. All they're giving a damn about is how much money they're gonna make when you start buying that shit, when it hits the market. Because that's what you're seeing. You're seeing a lot of these drone companies getting ready to flood the market with their products. They're getting in their last minute test flights. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I see them right here in St. Lucie County at this airport. Of course, the police here flies drones over certain neighborhoods. We started spotting them about a year or two ago. They fly drones over all the parades now. You know, so it ain't nothing new. There ain't no big conspiracy going on. You know, stop falling into the media madness, because what you're thinking is not what it is. All right. So anyway, I'm your man, Ken Jackson. This has been the Ken Jackson Experience. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything. 2025, like I said, it's a new year, a new attitude, and we are coming. We're coming hard in the new year. Finally going to get serious and turn this into a business and not just a hobby or a plaything. Because there's a lot we can do, I think. You know, yeah, there's a million other shows out there you could be watching and listening to. Yo, all I'm asking, take a few minutes, tune into one of my episodes. If you like it, tell somebody about it. But like I said, hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything, because I just might have something to say that you really want to hear. You know what I'm saying? The rest of this year, which is what, another week and a half or two, I'm just bullshitting around, making sure all my systems are working right. You know what? I spent some money, you know, putting together my little broadcast studio, and I got some pretty good capabilities that I'm very happy with. And you know, I'm gonna do the damn thing, putting a new team together. You know, for those of you that want to get into this, you know, you thought about it but you didn't quite know where to start. Yo, I got all the gear already. Everything works. Everything's set up. I have a method. I can teach it to you. Come join my crew. Hit me up. You know, drop me a DM. You know, or email, or call. You know, my phone number is out there on the website at www.crazybabytvworld.com. Follow us here on YouTube, Crazy Baby TV World, and all your social media platforms except X. I no longer fuck with X, you know. And I know it's not hurting X that I'm not fucking with him, you know, but I would hope that you wouldn't fuck with him either. But hey, you know, to each his own. I ain't fucking with X or nothing that Elon Musk is doing. But that's just my choice. Remember that. You always have a choice. All right, y'all. Until next time, I'm not on any particular schedule until the new year hits. But then we'll faithfully be here every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Right here for your listening and viewing pleasure. Join the conversation, because I will be opening up phone lines, because I really, really, really want to talk to you all about a lot of different things. All right? So, until next time, I'm your man, Ken Jackson. This has been the Ken Jackson Experience. Peace and good night. And Merry Christmas, y'all. And Happy New Year for those of you that I don't catch up with by then. Peace. I'm out.